I tried to, just a minute ago, and we have storms in the area, and so it like shut me down. It froze me. But I'm actually just wanting to show you a couple of things, possibly before the storm gets here. And the first thing I've got to do is wrap my fingers a little bit more because I have been weaving so many dream catchers that I'm having to use medical tape. Because I have calluses on my fingers from where I used to ride with split reins. It's working now, yay! We've got storms in the area, which means mountaintop Wi-Fi and internet. But I've got to wrap my knuckles because I've been weaving so much. This calluses on my fingers that I have from where I rode horses with split reins for so many years have busted and come apart and bled and hurts. So I'm having to keep my fingers wrapped while I'm working on stuff here lately to keep from making it worse. I have horrible calluses on this hand from split reins and this hand from where I halter broke show cattle and held on to limousine cattle that dragged me through counties. So yeah, there's storms heading in right now. So if I get disconnected again, I'll just give up for the night because it looks like it's going to storm pretty much all night. Oh, look, y'all, I cut my shirt. Didn't that turn out cute? I never wore the shirt because it was getting really boxy on top where it had shrunk and stuff. And I cut it into an off-shoulder little, and I thought, hey, that's cute. I like it. I'm also a redhead again, if you can't tell. It will tone down here in a few days, but yeah, it's like woof red right now. But this was the color I was in high school until I had Lane, and then Lane took all of my red hair, so on him. But anyway, so this is what I have been weaving the last couple of days and working on keeping it in shape. And I've bought some new stuff for it, but I like to add stuff, and I like to go to garage sales, and I like to go to thrift stores, and I like to pick up jewelry and stuff that other people might not think is like super pretty, but look at how pretty those look at how pretty those are. Now, okay, yeah, maybe you wouldn't wear this necklace, but you can take these off, use the chain somewhere else, and use these beads to cap tops of feathers and add bling. They're a really beautiful muted color. I love that. And so you can get creative and you can add stuff. I found a little pair of old earrings that have stars on my camera that have stars and what are they? They have little stars and little, like, I don't know, raindrops on them, and they're adorable. And I always like to put a dangle at the top, which is, they say from the Cherokee legend, is supposed to entice the negativity in so it can be caught and trapped. So I always like to put like a little, you know, to me it's like a little fishing lure for bad mojo. And so I'm going to cannibalize some of this jewelry that I pick up at yard sales, thrift shops. Some of it is stuff that I made years ago that I just didn't wear. I made some of these, and I love the beads, the gems that I use. So I'm going to be cannibalizing some of those. And then I've brought out the peacock feathers. So this one's going to be heavy toned with peacock, but I'm also going to add some marabou feathers just so that the peacock feathers shine. And I am also going to be trying to do an overlay wrap with some golden amber thread to add some depth. I've never done that before. It's going to be like around the edge, so I don't know how that's going to turn out. It will be my first time. But I wanted to kind of show you all that you don't have to go to Hobby Lobby and pray for a 50% off coupon to make stuff. You can find really neat, authentic stuff at thrift shops, at garage sales, yard sales. I mean, like, it took me 5 seconds to pop that off. It's already got its own little holder back there. I'm just going to clamp it back down. I can go ahead, that's got a good basin to hold the glue for the feathers, and then I can put a little cap of leather or cotton or felt overlay to hold the feathers on the back, and it looks finished from the front and the back. It was that easy, and those are so pretty. Those are going to glisten and sparkle and shine. And the big thing is about dream catchers is they're supposed to, like, lure the bad mojo in so that your protector on the dream catcher can nom, 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 the bad mojo, and only the good mojo makes it through. So that's why I do all the shiny, shimmery stuff. And that's why I try to do it in people's favorite colors and in the themes that they want. And then, you know, we get to add the pretty stuff, you know, to make it a little bit more decor. But when I also add the skulls or the animal, whatever bones I choose to add, those are animals that I kind of talk to you and get to know your personality. And I specifically pick that animal to be the protector that I put on your Dreamcatcher. And so everybody so far that I've talked to has gotten different animals. I think I might have done the same animal twice. But the person that I'm doing this for this time is getting one no one else has ever gotten. So it's going to be, I'm going to say that's for a surprise. So nobody's going to see that until the very end. Sorry, that's going to be a surprise for the person getting this. But you don't have to go and spend a ton of money. I think I gave $1 for this necklace at a yard sale. And honestly, I could have cleaned it up and wore it. But, you know, if I would have bought these jewels or anything like this to Hobby Lobby, oh my gosh, they would have cost me even half off, like $1 a piece. And I got like, what, 10 off of this thing? I mean, gee. So you don't have to go and spend a ton of money. You can go and repurpose things. I repurpose everything, y'all. Like when I told David, I bought a whole little chicken the other day at the grocery store. And he said, a whole chicken? He said, you don't normally buy a whole chicken. I said, well, it's on sale. And I said, it's cheaper to buy a whole one than to get it cut up. And I said, plus, I said, with that whole chicken, I said, you'll see it 3 times this week before we're done eating it. And he just looked at me and laughed. I said, no, seriously, I'm going to cook it in the crock pot, and then I'm going to use the broth to make a soup that I'm going to freeze and put up. And then I'm going to use the chicken in a round of fajitas, and then in a round of taco soup. And he's like, really? And I said, yeah. And I said, I might boil the bones down and make some bone broth to can and put up. Because when I'm sick, bone broth is something that I really need a lot. So literally, we see that chicken a few times before we get done with it. So we're very thrifty in this family. If you haven't figured that out. And now I've got this big chain left over. Now you can do tons with this. This is one of those things that you could really make some pretty stuff out of. So I may even take some links and incorporate this on a couple of things. But you don't have to spend a ton of money. The one thing I would say don't skip your money on is your glue gun. Make sure you get a dual heat glue gun or get a low heat and then get a high heat so that you can have both, because you will need both at times. And don't skip on your glue. Buy the very best of the glue that they have. Normally that is the Gorilla Glue. That's the best that I found so far. It is a little bit more expensive, but that stuff never gives up. And when in doubt, if you think something's going to fall apart, E6000 or any metal jewelry glue that says metal or jewelry based glue, you won't think it's going to set. But when I do my post earrings, I just stick my post into a little styrofoam and a ball that I've cut in half. I stick my post level and I put a little dot of that glue and I lay what I'm going to glue on there and I leave it alone for 24 hours. And when you come back, it will not move. Frog glue. I've never heard of frog glue, so now I'm going to have to go in and see what that is. Yeah, I thought the stars would be pretty on this Dreamcatcher. I thought it'd be really pretty. Gosh, we've got Gypsy, Terry, music's here. I know we've got quite a few weapons in here today. It's odd for me to pop on Saturday because normally David and I do our Sunday thing, but I've been feeling better, so I wanted to show you all a couple of the ideas that I had going on so that you don't necessarily have to spend a ton of money. And when I get extra willow leaves out of the yard, or willow limbs, I put them in circles because at some point I know I'm going to use them to wrap, and I tape them and I leave them so that when I do need them to wrap another project, they're already like kind of going with the shape I need. And then I'm going to be doing something that is going to be a gift for a friend. Watch this pop out and smack me in the head. I've got to make 2 more wings. This is a cow vertebrae of all the things. But if it had 2 more wings, it would look like a dragonfly. So I'm going to give it more wings. And I'm going to do dream catchers in the wings, and then I'm going to paint and bedazzle the body and give him, make him look like a dragonfly. And he's going to be wall decor inside, outside the home. It won't matter. I will seal him so he can be used inside or outside. So I'm making a dragonfly out of a cow vertebrae. Every once in a while, I think at night, because I don't like to waste anything. Y'all know how I am. And I get to thinking, and I'm like, oh, that might work. And I think that just might work. And the good thing is if that works, I also have smaller cow vertebrae where I can make smaller ones that are easier to ship. So that was like my epiphany for today. Let me see if I can. So if that large dragonfly turns out good, then I expect for me to make smaller ones that will be shippable. So if anybody wants one, David can throw them up on Etsy, or you can yell at me. But I'm gonna try to make them very bright and pretty, and I'm going to use a pink string, a pink twill. I used to actually use real sinew made from tendons of deer, but that gets too expensive when you do a lot of dream catchers. Hi, Snugglepuss. I'm glad you caught me too. I turned my AC off and it's blowing up a storm. It's already hot in here, I tell you what. But I'm going to make these bright colors, and I'm going to make them, the wings, when I weave them, I'm going to use a multicolor thread. So instead of white, it's going to be, I think the first one I'm going to use is going to be a pink gradient from all the different levels of pink down to white. So it will have pink and white wings. And I may pick up a secondary color, probably a green or a purple or a blue, to bounce off of it. So I've got the paints I need for the body. I thought, well, I should probably pick up a second multicolor thread to weave the wings so we have different color wings, so it just brings your eyes in a little bit more. But this does not have to be a super expensive thing. This doesn't have to be something that costs you every penny you have to do these things. The willow came from my willow in the front yard. It is a prolific grower and likes to fall over, so I just harvest everything that falls over, and then I trim it throughout the year as I need more, and it just keeps growing. So bless its heart, it just likes to provide. This one is an odd shape. It's mostly circle, but it didn't want to be a perfect circle. I don't like perfect circles anyway, but I try to get them as best I can. But the way that I'm going to be leather binding this, I think it's going to be like this. So this is going to be the bottom. So this is going to be the top. Almost this one divot right here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that, and that's where I'm going to put the dangle. This is going to be the dangle that marks the bait for the bad juju. So before I do that, I'm going to take some of this thread, and I'm going to wrap the spot where I'm going to dangle it from, so it has just a little bit of sheen to it. I'm going to tell you what, this thread is, it's beautiful, but it gets stuck on everything. You can't find the end of it, and if you ever do find the end of it, you lose it in 5 minutes, and then it just knots up. My mother told me not to buy it, but I didn't listen to her. But it's so pretty, I had to. Because it had like 4 different colors in it when I bought it. It went from red, pale peach, red, orange, and brown. And it's got a gold tinsel that runs through it. It was just too pretty to not use. So I had to do it. So all I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to find that again. I have to find the balance too. We're going to be right smack in between those divots. Finding the balance, and when you decorate a dream catcher, maintaining the balance is half the battle. I'm here to tell you. So all I'm going to do is I just looped that. I just made a loop and pulled it through. So I've got 2 strands, and I'm going to use my glue gun, and I'm just going to wrap this right here so that it has a little bit of color for where I'm going to start hanging, the charms. And then I'm going to get into a lot of leather work later tonight when it cools down after these storms go through. We're going to get into some leather work and a lot of feathers because I have to bead cap my feathers, and that's going to take me quite a while. So that'll be something I probably do off camera so that if I'm saying naughty words, y'all won't hear me. Because I probably will. David had to work today, so I'm expecting him home in maybe an hour. He had to work at an odd shift time today, which was really strange. I was going to go to mom and dad's and ended up having my hands were trembling, and I had a bad tremor this morning, and I was just too scared to get way too far away from home. And so we put that off until Tuesday. So all day Tuesday, I will be spending all day with my mom and my granny. After I have my blood work in the morning, I'm going to go on down the hill. And it's just every day I just have to get up and say, what am I capable of today? And although I feel good, I feel fine. I'm not swollen or anything. But my hands just wanted to have a tremor, I call it like a Parkinsonian tremor. And I can't control it, and I can't stop it, and I don't like to drive when I'm like that. So I was like, no, Mom. I'm not gonna drive in a half hour down the winding mountain. So we'll have to reschedule. And she understands my health issues, so she's fine with it. I just miss Mom and Granny, and I wanted to visit, but she doesn't want me trying to come down the mountain if I'm not feeling good. So I came home and I rested for a little while and thought maybe my sugar's low. Because as fat as I am, my sugar stays extremely low. And I ate a little bit and rested a little bit, and my hands are better this evening. But I also think it may potentially be this weather that's coming through, because y'all know how my body reacts to weather. So all I've done is just add this, and it's such a tiny thing. Like most people be like, why did you even take the time and energy to do that? That is going to add so much color when everything's hanging and lights hit it or the windows are open. It's going to add so much of a bling because it's got that gold thread in it. And then it's going to also bring your eye to the stars that are hanging on the jewel. It really is worthwhile to do all of these little things that you might think, oh, that's just too much effort, for such a little tiny addition. But when people get these, they really appreciate those little extra efforts, because those are the things that every time they look at what they've purchased, they go back and they find something new to appreciate. So those little things, sometimes I'll get an email 2 or 3 months later and they're like, I just noticed this. And I'm like, I know, I've been waiting for you to notice that. So I always enjoy adding little odd things. So I'm just going to clean up these ends right here. Make sure I get them laid down into that glue so that glue doesn't hide the shimmer of the twine. And it's just these little tiny things that make all the difference. Now I'll give you hi Denise, I'll give you a hint about if you use hot glue a lot and you have tendrils and strings. I hate them and they're everywhere. I have learned, buy you a hairdryer that you can get a high heat setting on, and when you get everything done, blast it with a hairdryer, and it will melt them little suckers away. I was 44 when I figured that out, which is shameful, but at least I figured it out. So let's see, I want to attach this little hanger here, but I want to do it with just a little piece of wire also. The things that I do make, I do like for them to last a little while, so I'm going to make just a L hoop in that. I'm going to hang that down there, and then I'm going to wrap. The other day I had my camera angle perfect, but I'm scared to move it. I'm scared it'll freeze again like it did when we started. So I'm just going to wrap this around, and then I'm going to take my pliers and pinch it and make it look prettier. Pliers can fix anything. Honest to Pete, pliers can fix anything. It's starting to darken up here. Storm's moving in. I did get my pool floats out of the backyard finally when the lightning stopped the other day. We lost half of our redbud tree in the backyard. It wasn't a bad storm. It just straight line winded us, and that had a split trunk on it. And it's getting lighter. It's getting darker here. It's here now. That poor tree had a split trunk on it that I loved, and it just the weaker side gave. So I've just made a little glue all over me. I just made a little wrap up there, so it has a little bit more movement. And so now I'm just going to make sure I put it on the right side, this side. And I'm going to wrap it around just so that this has a little bit more movement and can be seen a little bit better, because I don't want it to be stuck so tight to the frame that it doesn't have freedom to move. Because then what's the point? I mean, the mobile pieces on these are normally the most special. So y'all, I keep saying my eye appointment is coming. It is. It really is. We only have one eye center up here, and they stay booked. So I'm in quite the lineup, but I'm getting there. And my old glasses, I probably should put them on, but they mess my eyes up so much now when I wear them. I thought, well, I'll just wait till I get new ones. Okay. Okay, so now that is going to have enough movement. See, if I had glued it right up here, it wouldn't have that much movement. So now it's going to have more movement, and it's going to be a little bit more enticing to the bad mojo. So that's going to be what kind of pulls in the bad mojo. And I'm just going to make sure I have it in the middle. Well, yeah, it's darkening up bad here. If we ever actually have a storm that climbs the mountain, it normally is a bad one. Most of the time it splits and goes around us like a horseshoe, and we never even get any rain. But we got so much rain that they called the horse show off tonight. So it was a ranch show, and if the arena gets very muddy or a lot of clay in it, it's really bad for quarter horses. And so they called it off. So I've got that there. Oh my goodness. I was septic before. If you've heard my story about my hysterectomy, and they found my appendix leaking, and I was basically septic, and they were worried about me. Oh my goodness. Snugglepuss, if they have got a GoFundMe or anything, if you want to put it in the chat or email me the link, I'll do a community post with the link. And I'll put it on our YouTube, and then I'll put it on Facebook as well. Boy, it's getting really dark here really quick. Okay, so what I'm going to do from now on, well, for the next hour or two while the storm passes, is anywhere that I am going to be adding something, and then down here where I've got the brace built, I'm going to do leather wrapping. And as I do the leather wrapping, that will give me the base foundation for where I'm going to end up placing. I'm going to put that wire out just a little bit so that dangles better. Where I'm going to be placing my feathers and where I'm going to be doing most of my detail work. So for the next hour or so, I'm going to be cutting leather, which is not my favorite thing, but it has to be done. And I'm going to be doing leather binding, leather wrapping, and I'm going to be doing a whole leather wrap around here to brace this, because it is the brace at the bottom. And I'm going to be doing all of this in leather, and then all the feathers are going to be hanging off of this. But the feathers are going to be hanging probably off of these beautiful amber beads. And I'm going to be using some of these green beads throughout, as well as just other shimmers to catch your eye and stuff like that. I have a couple of amber and golden beads that I can use to also cap some feathers. But I'm going to be popping some color in here too. It's not going to be bland. So when I get ready to do the peacock feathers, I'm going to be pulling out these marbled blocks, these marbled beads, and taking them to pop with the peacock feathers. So when I get it all done, I'm going to try to cross your fingers and pray that all of the colors blend really well. And for these, I'm going to do the marabou feathers, and then I'm going to use the gold and the turkey feathers to match these as well. So you just got to keep a color palette in your brain and just remember what you're working on. Yeah, I made Denise's granddaughter one. Denise, let me know when you get the letters I sent. You're going to be getting a box here soon too. But I made Denise's granddaughter one, and she's not had, as soon as she received it, she's not had any nightmares since. And it was probably one of the girliest dream catchers I've ever met or ever made. I don't think I'd ever made. Oh, did good. Okay, I'm glad. I don't think I'd ever made such a girly dream catcher before, but it turned out really pretty. It hung on in my bedroom wall for a while above a huge pink amethyst or pink rose quartz and amethyst stones for like a week while we were trying to find a box that they would fit in. Box hunting is my least favorite thing to do. I hate box hunting. So I actually put a little tiny rose quartz on it for her as well. So there's a lot, and I used a lot of threes to represent the Holy Trinity. So I used a lot of threes, a lot of threes on that. And so I use, I've dyed my hair red again, but this is the color it was in high school. My father is Irish with strawberry blonde hair. My mother's Cherokee, and I look like my dad, but I was taught all these things at powwows and council meetings when Mom would take us to the Lenape, which is a branch of Cherokee. It's a branch of the Delaware Cherokee, actually, tribes. When we would go to the powwows and the council meetings and stuff like that. And so I would have to go with the elders, the women, into the women's tent, and they would teach us the stories, the crafting, and all of that stuff. So when I got out of my professional world and I could come back and start kind of getting back into my roots and the things that I enjoyed more, I thought, I've not done this in a while. I'm going to start making the things that I used to really like. I couldn't wait until I could get old enough to be approved to make certain things that I would see the elders making. But as children, you weren't allowed to make certain things because you had to have the right mindset and the right standing, and you just weren't allowed as a child. And so as soon as I was retired and home, I thought, well, I'm old enough now. I'm going to start making these things. So I need to go back, and I've got a guy that is here in town. He moved here about a year ago, and he's Cherokee, and he's like, I will help you get over your lineage hump where it stopped with Mom's, where it went to Mary A. as a lady they pulled out of the woods, and he married her and named her Mary A. And I lost. Like I was stumped. I can't go on. He's like, I can help you there. So there's a possibility I may be able to get my entire mother's lineage done. And if I can do that, then there's a possibility I could possibly even be like double registered. I sound like a grade paint. Brood mare, quarter horse, and grade paint. Oh, that's funny. I get attached to everything I make, Snugglepuss. So everything I make is sometimes difficult to turn loose of. But the dream catchers I make specific. I don't make a dream catcher until someone asks for them. And so I talk to the people and send emails or do a phone call. So I kind of get to know the person before I make them. So I make the dream catchers with the intent for the person. So while I get kind of possessive over these because I really, their art, I don't get as attached to the dream catchers because I weave them with an intent for the person they're going to. So I know they're going somewhere. The things that I sculpt and the little yarn critters and even some of Dave's pelts and stuff that either sell slow or I'm slow to want to sell them, so I'll hang them in the house for a while, I'd get attached to those. There was a lady that bought a bobcat pelt off of him. She saw him at the True West campground, and she didn't buy it that day. And she emailed us that night, and she said, I should not have walked away from that. I want to buy it. And David said, well, it sold like an hour after you were there. And she's like, darn. And he's like, I've got one more that I've not. He's like, I'm still tanning it, but it'll be done around the 4th of July. And he said, it's the last one of the year. He said, the only other one I have is already listed on Etsy. And she said, well, I'll buy it. And he said, well, you haven't seen it yet. She goes, no, but I'll buy it. So he got it done on the 4th of July, sent her pictures. And so she said she could meet today. And since David had to go into work early, I said, well, it's just like 3 minutes to the post office and back. I said, let me go meet her and put stuff in the mail. And I needed to see if my hands were going to let me drive very far today. And that's when I realized I'm not going to be going down the mountain today. But I got to take that to her. And it was so funny to watch her because she fell in love with it immediately. And she just put it over her arm, just kept petting it the whole time that I was talking to her. And she was just ecstatic. I'm going to be making a Cody purse, and I'm going to try to make a possum bag. But I've got to get all of this stuff done because I've got to clear my entire dining room table and bring out my monster dinosaur sewing machine. So I've got to get all of this done, and I've got to get the rest of the big one woven. And then I'll be clearing my table, and for the rest of the month, basically what I'll be doing is making bags and finishing anything that David needs finished, because he will probably be working 6 days a week until the 127 quarter sale, which is the first weekend in August. He doesn't see it letting up anytime soon at work. It's just way too busy. So he's probably going to be working 6 days a week until he takes time off for that quarter sale. So I'm trying to just kind of keep things going. And if he's got something that needs to be done, I try to jump in and do it if possible. The only thing that I really can't do, I can't flesh anymore because my hands just don't work right anymore. And you can't hold a knife or a scalpel, and that's too dangerous. So I can't do any, and I was really good at it too. I was like, that was my job. And that was what I was trained to do, was to flesh and get that hide really thin. And that was my job from like 12 years on when my brother had his taxidermy shop. So I was really good at it. Like, I taught David how to do it. So now I can't do it at all. So I miss doing that because that was, it was nice just we could both be working on something, hanging out and spending a lot of time together. It's harder for us to spend time together now because if I'm having a bad day, it's very difficult for me to be out in the building and to try to sit up in the chairs that he has out there and use my muscles and the core muscles, and it's very difficult. So we don't always get to spend a lot of time together. So that may be why I get attached to stuff too, because I know how much work you put into it because I saw it. Pregnancy. My daughter-in-law is finally getting quite the tummy on her. It's so cute, but she's so petite. She still looks, I still think she looks tiny. We're having the baby shower next Saturday. I went ahead and kind of talked to her to see what she needed, what she had already got, and wanted to patch in the stuff that I thought, everybody likes to bring clothes and smaller items and like the normal baby shower stuff. So I found like a $300 swing that does the up and down, back and round. I found one of those for like $50. Barely had been used. Everything you can take off and wash. So I've got that. It was I brought everything from a family that had a little girl about 7 months ago. They went completely overboard. And so a lot of the clothes still have tags on them. They're brand new. And now that she is, getting into she's actually bigger than her age. So she's almost wearing like 12-month clothes now. I'm getting most of this, like the 3, 6, and 9-month clothes, and all the shoes, all the hair bows, a wipe warmer. I've got the swing, 2 bumbo seats. Bumbo seats are great. And 2 42-gallon trash bags full of clothes. And I'm talking about baby Carhartt and all those expensive brands that you have to go into the big city and go to the malls to shop for, that I would never go get because it's an hour or 2 hours away. All of it. And most of it still has tags. And so I just did a whole bundle, and I got everything for about $200. And I was like, and so I don't get to pick it up next weekend. We decided to push it back. She works and she's like going to be at the Canadian border in like a week and a half and then drive back. She's got one of those weird jobs. And so next weekend, all the baby shower stuff, I'm going to try to help Kaylee and Lane get situated and put up. And then when they get that situated and put up, I'm going to go after everything I purchased, bring it home, launder everything, and help them get it organized for the baby. So some of the stuff will probably end up staying at my house until needed, just because they rent the bottom apartment of a 2-story cabin. So they won't. I will be Mimi's house will be the storage facility. So, oh honey, and I'm telling you, I don't mind anything secondhand, especially if like I know the family and I know this family, so I don't mind anything secondhand. Most of it is still got the tags on it. It's never worn. They just went. They got really excited about their first grandbaby, like we all have, and got a little gaga. Now, I have ordered a couple of personalized onesies just to embarrass the crap out of them because, that's it's my goal in life to irritate my children. So I got one onesie because Kaylee is a cow fanatic and she's going to breastfeed and she's learning all this new stuff. And so I got a onesie that says plays well with udders and it's got cow udders on it. I had to. It was too easy to irritate her. I had to get it, so I got it. I got a onesie a couple months ago that said my dad's beard is better than your dad's beard because Lane's got that big red beard. And then because I told them I was going to do this and I'm going to put it in the maternity photos, and when I do a couple session at the end of her maternity photo shoot, I'm going to do that. If I have to sit on a tree stump or on my rolly cart, I'm doing her maternity photo shoot because I know what I want the photos to look like. But I got a onesie that said, I am proof that my daddy doesn't spend all his time in the trees. And so it should be in this week. So I'm really hoping it gets into time before the baby shower because that's my embarrassing gift. I have to have it for the baby shower. So Saturday I will be at a baby shower. And Kaylee is so sweet and meek and quiet. Now, when she gets irritated, she can get loud, but she's so sweet and petite and she's just so quiet. And so she didn't even want to have a baby shower. So we had just been buying stuff along the way, and her family finally talked her into it. And so I'm glad they did, but I'm going to set out to embarrass her at least once because she knows it's going to happen. She knows. She's looked at me and been like, it's going to be at the church. Don't put anything too bad in the bag. And I'm like, I wouldn't dare. No, I wouldn't. But I live to embarrass my children. Haley, now this is where people get, okay, so my son, Lane, was a twin. I lost one about between 9 and 11 weeks. He married Kaylee, which is a twin. She has a twin brother. And so we really thought they might have twins, but it's just one little girl. But my daughter, Haley, is coming up for Kaylee's baby shower. So I'm going to have Lane, Kaylee, and Haley. Let me tell you what. I told them, I said, y'all get to pick the name. I said, but if I have another Ailey something to deal with, I said, by the time I'm 70, y'all, I'm just going to start calling you bologna and potato and, Wampus Cat or something because I will not be able to keep these names straight. So I'm hoping they don't have another Ailey name. Bailey, watch it. I'm sure they'll come up with something. Right now they're thinking like, because her name is Kaylee Ray, and they're thinking of Ellie Mae, but Ray is R-A-E, so they're thinking of Mae, M-A-E, which would completely fit the child because she's going to be the meanest little country bumpkin you've ever met. She doesn't trust me. She knows what I'm capable of. But now she is just as mean to Lane. Jaylee Ray. Oh, that's pretty. That would totally get me so. And then Haley's going to be married soon. She'll be married by this fall. So we've got a lot going on in our world. It's been a busy year. It's been a busy year. But I think that they'll probably go with an older classic name because they are very old souls. And so I expect for them to go with an older classic name. So and it will probably, I mean, it will either sound like Lane's, David's father's name is Ovid, and that's a name you never hear anymore. My mother's father's name was Dolphin. They called him Dop. His dad's name was Juber. So we have very odd names in our family. But we do have an Ellie Mae about 5 generations back in the Dickens side. So when my dad used to say, I'm going to beat the Dickens out of you, I'm like, well, you're going to have to spank hard because it's about 3 generations back. He would get so mad at me. But it was about 3 generations back. So did you see, and you don't see Elizabeth much anymore. Now, I was named after my grandpa Elsie, and I was almost named Elsbeth, but they named me Elizabeth. And let me tell you what, kindergarten, trying to remember how many sticks to put in my E, about drove me nuts. And that was like the worst part of kindergarten, was learning how many sticks to put in my E. And I remember that to this day, being terrified that I was never going to get my name right, because everybody else was like Dan, Sue, Lena, and I was like Elizabeth. And they had to make sure you could spell your whole name. And I was like, man, this is not fair. So, but at least Mom, she gave me, I'm Ann in the middle, so she gave me an easy middle name. And they wouldn't let me shorten it. They made me learn how to spell the whole thing, which I was almost as bad to Haley when she went to kindergarten, because her name was Haley, spelled like Haley Mills, Hayley, Genevieve. Genevieve was like the bane of her existence until like 2nd grade. And now she loves it because it's after her Granny Genevieve, and it's a beautiful name. I've always loved it. Missing a stick. I'm telling you, I had some creative writing in kindergarten trying to get my name. I'm telling you, Beatrice. Yeah, I expect stuff like that, like the older names to come out, because they said if it was going to be a little boy, they were thinking of Jed. And I think it was because they got back into like 2 generations, and like everybody on both sides had J, like great grandpas and great grandpas. And I was like, please don't name him Juber. I mean, I have a picture of my great grandpa Juber on the wall. He's a very handsome, nice man. I just don't understand his name, and I don't understand why he named his son Dolphin. But he was married to a woman in Florida, so I'm thinking that was probably a theme. Even though she probably never saw Florida or a dolphin, but she named her son Dolphin. But he had like 10 brothers and sisters. So she might have just got creatively stumped and just thrown a name out. But everybody called him Dop, D-O-P. So I grew up with some really weird names. Yeah, my family was really crazy, really creative. Now my father's mother was just classic. Angela, Andre, Randy, Richard, and Mom was the same way. She had an Elizabeth and a Matthew, and I came along, and as soon as I found out that they told me for most of my pregnancy that Lane was going to be a girl, but because I had an extra lobe on my placenta the whole time due to losing one of the twins, they couldn't get a good ultrasound picture. So they were like, we really can't tell you, but we think maybe it's girl. So I kept telling them I was going to have a little redheaded boy. I had a little redheaded boy. When the doctor caught Lane, he literally went, it's a boy, and it has red hair. And I was like, made to order. And but he said, well, what are you going to name it? Because we had been thinking most likely a girl. And I said, his name's going to be Lane. And I knew that because I was in love with Lane Frost for most of my young life. And Lane Staley's voice was my teenage mindset. And so I named my son Lane. And so it's a very classic name. I wanted to name Haley Lariat, so I'd have Lane and Lariat, like a rope. And I made the joke that I was going to have a header and healer team, a header and healer roping team. And everybody kept telling me, well, what are you going to call her? And I said, I'm going to call her Airy. And they said, well, we're going to call her Larry. And then I couldn't. It ruined the name for me. So I had to change it. So we named her Haley Genevieve, but the Haley is actually after Haley Mills because when I was young, I loved to watch every Haley Mills movie ever made. Elizabeth Page. I think Page is a pretty name. I knew a Page. I worked with a Page, and she was, I don't know, people that are named Page are those people that are just constant, just those constant people that have the really easy personalities that are just very classic, constant, steady, steadfast people. That's every Page I've ever met. And so sometimes I feel like I should have had like a really strange name because I'm. But now, if anybody wonders, my Instagram is Isby Waters, and it was because my nephew Micah, he couldn't say my name when he was little, and he called me Isby, and so he just called me Isby, and so Isby stuck. And so that's why if you find me on Instagram, it's Isby Waters. And if anybody around here calls me anything but Elizabeth, it's Isby. And it's all because my nephew couldn't say my name for like the first 5 years of his life. So I was deemed Isby by him. So, but I didn't mind. Um, but yeah, we've had a busy year. But baby shower next week. Um, they have everything they need. Kaylee is more of a stockpiler than I think I even was, and we've kind of grazed and bought stuff through the year. So they're doing really well. If somebody that watches absolutely wants to send them something, email me, and I'll let you know how to get it to me so I can give it to them. But they basically have everything they need. I know I've got a couple people going to send cards, and it's just people that have like watched Lane and kind of gotten to know them over the last few years while I've been on YouTube, and kind of felt like they know him because I understand that because I have people that I feel like that with as well. But they have basically everything they need, so we're thankful. Edna Eileen. Now I don't mind the Edna Eileen. Now the Erling, that makes me think of those. What are those little weasels that they call something like that? That makes me think of those little weasels. What is it they call them? The see, now my brain's gonna be thinking about that, and at 2 a.m. I'll remember. I don't even think that she shops on Amazon. I don't at all. I don't think she's ever even probably bought anything off Amazon. And I think Lane might have bought one climbing rope off of Amazon, and he did not enjoy the experience. But I would say anything like the clothing wise, the best thing are onesies or long sleeve onesies, since she's going to be growing into in and out of stuff. The 3 to 6 months is going to happen in the winter time. Long sleeve onesies, so we can put long sleeve onesies on and throw some breeches on so she stays warm. Long sleeve onesies is going to be something that we're going to need a lot of in the 3 to 6 month size. And socks. You can never have enough baby socks because the dryer eats them. Or when the kids were little, I swear the dryer ate Lane's socks. It was always Lane's socks because I would buy him, like, he would want Star Wars socks, and I would buy him socks, and they would always disappear. And I'd put them in the wash, and I'd be like, and he asked me one day, he goes, "Where did the socks go?" And I said, "The dryer eats them." He goes, "No, Mama, the dryer does not eat the socks." And I said, "Honey, I don't know. Maybe they go to heaven to live with Jesus." That's what I said to my child. I was just trying to do laundry. He wanted an explanation that sounded like a perfectly fine one to me. So I said, maybe they go to heaven to live with Jesus. Well, we were fishing about a week and a half later. And I said, "Oh, you see that lightning over there?" I said, "We're going to have to get in soon." I said, "Storm's coming." And he said, "Oh, we can wait till it gets a little closer." I said, "No, that's electrical lightning, honey." I said, "That's from heat that's built up and built up and built up." I said, "That's dangerous." And he looked at me and he goes, "You reckon it's from all them socks out of dryers that go to live with Jesus?" And I thought, I'm going to have to be careful how I explain things to this child because he retains knowledge. But when he saw heat lightning, he thought well, it's from all those socks that are hot from the dryer that go live with Jesus in heaven. And I think I about like choked laughing at that one. Barely got him out of the pond and into the house before the storm got there. But he would always remember things like that. And I would have to watch what I would say because he would be the one to remember it and say it in the worst place possible. So, but I'll leave you on that funny. It's fixing a storm. David ought to be getting home in about 10 minutes. I'm going to fry up some kielbasa and cabbage for him. And then I'm going to go back to weaving. Since I've got my fingers wrapped, I'm going to try to finish weaving tonight. So if he is capable tomorrow, we'll do a couples check-in. He's worked his butt off, so we'll see what he feels like tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll check in and try to give you a note around lunchtime to know what time to anticipate us if we are going live. Well, maybe I told him it's a going joke, and it's just a joke that just keeps getting rounded up that it's like he lost his dog last year. And I said, well, honey, I've lost so many dogs. When I get to heaven, I'm going to have a fine pack of hounds. And he goes, well, I'm going to have a really good dog. And he looked at me, he goes, a whole lot of Star Wars socks. And I was like, oh my gosh, because it's like one of the biggest jokes in the family that's how his little mind worked when he was little. And, but yeah, that's, heat lightning, it could potentially be all the socks from the dryers that go to live with Jesus. So kids' brains. But I'm going to start some dinner, feed Dave, watch the storm, and weave. And then tomorrow by lunchtime, I'll let you know what time to anticipate us. If we are able to go live, I'll put up a community post. If you absolutely want to send something to the kiddos, you can email me at watersworkload@gmail.com. And I'll put it in a community post as well. And I can give you an address to get it to me so I can get it to them. But they have everything they need, so don't anyone go out of your way. And literally a card is even, way more than necessary. It's just, I know some people like to send a congratulations and let them know they're being thought of. So the Etsy shop still has like 30, we've been trying to reload it, so it's keeping about 30 items in it. And nope, the next sale he's going to is the first weekend in August at the 127 corridor sale. So he's home until then. So he's Etsy bound until that next vendor site, and then he has another one in September. So normally the 127 sale is like a 4-day sale. It's all weekend, and this place will be so packed. It's so many people. But he normally does really good during that sale. So he's taking time off from work so he can attend every day of the sale. But he's going to be working 6 days a week until then. So I might forget what he looks like. But it's the first weekend of August, and then the 13th of September back down at True West. And there might be a couple in October. I know the Pumpkin Festival and another one. But they're more into the fall. So most of the stuff that we've been doing lately has been Etsy bound, or people that have started to figure out who he is and just call my house or yell at me on Facebook, and they're like, is your husband the fur dude? And so people are finding us. It's a great thing. We are in a week or two going to be having someone online doing some little spots for us. And he's hilarious. So when that happens, I'll share links so y'all can go watch and get a big kick out of it because he's the funniest guy ever. That's going to be fun coming up. So there's stuff in the works. We've just got a lot going on. Baby coming, bunch of sales. I mean, David's factory is taking some huge contracts, so he's working massive hours, and it's just been a really wild summer. But I'm feeling good. I'm just my hands are trimmery, but not as bad. But I don't feel bad. I feel fine. I think it's just my nerves having a day because of these weather systems going through. So I'm still feeling good. I look a lot better too. And when my hair calms down after a couple of days, I'll feel a little bit better. But right now it's like, woo, red. So I think I hear him pulling in. I'm going to start dinner, and I will make a community post tonight for any cards or anything like that. And then I will make a community post at lunchtime tomorrow to tell you what time for couples check-in. I love you guys. Have a good night. Watch the weather. And have a good Sunday. Bye, guys.